This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to the Sunset Safari, coming to you live from the greater Kruger National Park, where the little chief Hosana has made it back just in time for the winter months. No doubt he'll be spending a lot of time around the pans searching for food. My name is Steve. I'm joined by Sebastian on camera. And, well, obviously, as you can tell, we're going to be looking for this little guy over here. He's my little teddy bear, but we're going to go look for the real deal. I was very excited last night when he materialized, and Tristan's, all of his updates before was very, very sort of exciting for all of us, yeah, and it was the topic of conversation and probably will be for some time. So I'm just going to pop a little Hosana in my pocket. Don't forget, we are live and interactive. We'd love to hear from you. Send your questions, comments to hashtag Safari Live, and hopefully, well, we'll be able to find you something special today. It was a leopard day yesterday, and, well, today with Herbie on Game Scout and Sebastian and myself, we are going to do our level best to try and find the little chief. I hope everybody's okay with that. Everyone is excited to see him. Jamie wants me to find him for her. Herbie is chomping at the bit. He just got back from leave this morning, or last night. He was on walk this morning. He's chomping at the bit to see Hosana because, you know, Herbie has been tracking him since the day he was born. So that is it for now. Hopefully we'll be able to find him. But there was lots of action this morning. Tundi was on the other side over there, but she has moved and gone south towards Twin Dam. So I'm sure the other guys are probably going to get on those tracks. But for now, we've just heard some alarm calls coming down from the dam over there. We're going to go check it out. And while we do that, let's go say good afternoon to Jamie.
Come on, Steve, find Hosana for us. A very good afternoon to you all. My name is Jamie, and this afternoon, Darby is on camera with me. So there you go, a team that hasn't seen Hosana yet. We didn't get to yesterday. Darby was on walk. Darby had an epic walk, though. And I had definite ideas about seeing old Hosana yesterday, and obviously it didn't pan out. So, of course, this afternoon's plan is going to be to look for him, and you can imagine how excited Herbie is. Herbie, of course, knows Hosana just as well as we do. He's spent as much time with him, plenty of time on foot, probably more time on foot, because he's gone with each of us individually. So you can just imagine. You know what will probably happen is that Pat will bump into him, along with every other leopard on Duma, as he did yesterday. But I've asked him, I've pleaded with him that if he does bump into Hosana today, if he doesn't mind, if Hosana's not doing anything dramatic, if he wouldn't mind swapping with me, just because I really, really want to see him before, just in case he decides to move off Duma. Though he wasn't found on the Sunrise Safari, for those of you that do not know, he was, Tundi was seen, and she was seen wandering south down Weaver's Nest. Something, Josh. I got something. Darby, any idea? Tatum, Josh. Tatum, Josh. We'll go with Tatum, Josh. I once got a viewer's name wrong, and they promptly changed it to whatever it was that I said. I can't even remember now whose name it was, but they very kindly changed their username on the basis that I couldn't get their name wrong, so don't worry, it's just me. Wants to know if Hosana were to go north from where he is now, from Duma, where would he go? The answer is Buffelshoek. And potentially further afield. I mean, to the north of that is Manuleti, and to the north of that would take him into Kruger, basically. And because leopards are not restricted by fences, it could be anywhere from there. But the immediate north of us is Buffelshoek. It's a long, quite large property that runs along the northern boundary of Duma and Torchwood and reaches all the way east to the Kruger National Park. So he could potentially end up there. He'd run into Gajima. That would be his main rival up there, and a little bit into Tingana's territory as well. I'm just listening to the Game Drive radio as well with half an ear. You can imagine Tax and Orbs are also very excited. Are you going to be kind? No, he's not going to be kind. I was a bit slow on the uptake there. It's such a pretty crested bar, but I'll give it a go. No, he's really gone. He's really gone. Completely vanished. Oh well. It was a crested barbet, but unfortunately, no luck. And then, of course, there was also, from this morning, there's an Avoca male hanging out around the hyena den. Which way to go? I don't know which way to go. I'm not in any way vaguely surprised by that. I know all of you very excited to have seen Hosana yesterday. My very first sighting of Hosana was when he was about 6 weeks old. I don't know exactly how old he was. They'd disappeared for a long time after Brent had found them that very first day. And it was on Shabamu Road, and Karula had a kill. And we sat there, it was Brian and myself, we sat there for ages, and eventually it was sort of time to pull out. There was only one vehicle allowed in at each time, so because of the size of the cubs, so we thought, well, this is it, we're not going to see them. As we were about to leave, and Karula started making those very peculiar leopard contact calls, those sort of burp sounds. And out came these two absolutely gorgeous little bundles of joy. His sister was much more shy than he was. And they crawled out flat on their little bellies and climbed up into the tree, and Karula gave them a wash, and then they turned and they looked at us. And it was by far one of the greatest moments I've ever had live. It was right up there with our first sighting of the Nkuhuma cubs when they were perfectly lined up. Well, just to give you an idea of how desperate things are, have a look at what that Impala's eating. Not only are the leaves almost completely brown, but that is a silver cluster leaf, which of course is immensely high in tannins. And they don't have much in the way of options at the moment. And that means browsing every little last leaf they can. I always wonder, not now, but towards sort of October, I wondered how animals even vaguely manage to eke out a living. Maybe not October, because by October then the knobthorns have started to get their leaves as the first to do so. Shame, guys. Isn't it astounding that Impala managed to survive this for 6 months and they're pregnant at the same time? And they somehow managed to have these perfect little babies that are so developed that they're ready to walk and run. Nature is truly amazing. As pregnant women, or for pregnant women, they will give you all sorts of supplements and all sorts of other things, different foods, and change your diet almost completely. These poor chaps don't get any of those luxuries. They have to eke out a living. Just give me one moment. Okay, I'm going to just listen to the updates on the game drive vehicle, and there's someone else who hasn't had his chance to say good afternoon, and that is Patrick. Let's head across to him.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this sunset safari. My name is Patrick. Joining me behind the lens is Craig, and we are coming to you live from the Djuma Game Reserve here in South Africa. Now, if you have any questions or comments that you may have along the way of this drive, please do send them in using the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or the YouTube chat stream. Now, well, last night, what an exciting night that was. I think I've used up just about all my luck last night, but I shall press on and keep on looking to stretch my luck that little bit further. I am going to leave Hosana for Jamie tonight. I really hope that she can find him, and if I am lucky enough for him to stumble across my path again, well then I think I'll be palming that one off to Jamie. But tonight I am going to be looking for Tandy. So I have heard, well, Tristan actually said that he saw her earlier on today. I believe it was after drive, kind of coming down to the southeast from where she was on quarantine, which is up right near our camp. And so I've come down to see if I can locate her. I'm currently in the Moati River because, well, it was a hot spot for leopards last night around this area. And Tandy coming down this way, we do know that leopards do like the cover of a drainage line and the shade. And so I'm just going to slowly make my way up here and see if I can pick up on anything. Or maybe I should just say I'm going to look for elephants because, well, that was my plan last night and it led to 3 leopards in a row. So maybe I should just pretend I'm not looking for leopards at all. So I will put in a little bit of a search for Tandy and hopefully come up with something because it would kind of make it a little bit complete. Obviously I can't see Karula, but after seeing everyone last night, Tandy, Hosana and Tingana having, Tlalomba, Tingana and Hosana. So to have Tandy tonight would just complete the box set. But it was a very surprising encounter last night and still riding that high from it as well. And, well, someone who I think is always riding a high is Steve Volvo. He is out on walks tonight. Let's see what interesting stuff he has to show us.
Thank you, Pat. We are on our way. There has been reports of Hosana's tracks on top of a vehicle tracks from this morning. Herbie went out to do some more searching. I think he's trying to jump the gun with regards to finding the little chief. And now, because we're using the radio, Taxon from Vuetela, he has got tracks of a male leopard on top of the tire tracks from the Mahindra, which we normally use for tracking. So we're going to cover some ground now. Seb and I have laced up our boots. We've done some stretches. We are ready to go. We got to get across that way, probably about 1 kilometer or so before we get to those tracks. But obviously, we need to keep our eyes and ears peeled the whole time. You never know what you might come across. We've got Herbie in front there, so he's very good at that. Okay. So that's one of the benefits of having a radio, everybody, is that you can utilize your resources. If we went out without a radio,
Sorry about that, everybody. Apparently Steve has vanished off your screens. I feel as though we're the only one reliable this afternoon. That's all right. We'll be here. I will be here, ready to catch the feed as it falls or something like that. Obviously, bringing you a live safari comes with its own technical challenges. I was going to tell you about Steve and his little leopard, Hosana. The day, or just when we sort of realized that Hosana may have left Djuma, was in just after his birthday, and we did a very special Safari Lives for his birthday. And Steve lent me the little Hosana toy for the Safari Lives. And then he agreed that I could keep hold of it for the duration of the next few weeks, because it had been quite a lonely transition with Brent leaving and moving back to Hoedspruit. So he let me keep his Hosana cuddly toy for a while. It was very sweet. It was really kind of him. Eventually, it was decided I had to deliver it back to him. So cute, that thing. Hello, Impala. Have you seen Hosana? No, you're going to walk away from me. It's very rude. Oh, isn't this Trishala's Impala that she was talking about? Ouch. That is... Ow. Ooh, not for sensitive viewers. Definitely not for sensitive viewers. I'm afraid, Tammy, your comment of the The fact that the teddy bear looks like a little koala bear is very cute, but unfortunately a little out of place now. Oh, shame, boy. Ouch. That's a fighting wound. It's completely stripped away his skin. We're going to have one close look at it when he turns, and then I will not spend too long. Oh, ouch, that's deep. He's barely even limping. No, he is favouring that leg a little bit. Ow! Shame, boy. Do you know that could heal? It's deep, and it looks a bit of a funny colour, but I think that's because he's been lying down on it to keep the flies out of it, so he's got a little bit of dust and sand in it. But that could actually heal. Much like the Nkahuma with the very sore hip, obviously she took a while to heal, but for an Impala like that, I think it could potentially heal, because he could actually rest up on it and not move it too much. You know, you've got the ability to, as a male Impala, he's got the ability to not move around too much. He doesn't have to hunt. He doesn't have to really exert himself unless he's running away from a predator. Unfortunately, predators will see that and zone in on it. So for a hunting hyena, leopard, lion, that is like a beacon attracting their attention. He's also got to hope that he stays away from the other male Impala, who, even if he doesn't have any intentions of mating, although he probably still does, they will chase him away. But it's amazing how strong that biological drive really is, because even though he is really quite seriously maimed on that back leg, he could still attempt to try and keep a harem and to mate with them, which I find phenomenal commitment to a cause. Oh, I'm not normally squeamish, but I've actually got a little bit of a sympathy pain there. Whew. Ugh. Shivers. Shame, boy. Good luck. Is that the Impala? I don't know. I haven't really been up to date with... Oh, hello. Good day. Good day, mate. Bye-bye. Yes, I'm definitely live. No worries. Cool. Bye. Joshua wants to know if the roads are private. Yes, this is private property. It's not public roads, so you would have to go, to get onto the Sabi Sand, you would have to go through a gate. And then there's different sections that belong to different landowners. If we were to go deliberately and traverse into an area that we're not allowed onto, we would cause some immense political dramas, which is not something that we want to do. So they are private, and you can't even, the roads in Kruger obviously are a part of the national park, but even if you're in the Kruger and you've paid for entry there, you will not be able to drive from Kruger to the Sabi Sand. It's not possible. There's no way through except for... Patrick! Dem tracks. Leopard tracks, male leopard tracks. Not fresh, but hard to tell now. Darby, can I help you out here? There's a track. Oh, no, now I've lost it. Here. There's a track here. Not that old. Male leopard tracks. 1, 2, 3, 4. The back lobe here. The back foot. There's the front foot here. And the back foot here. Is it Hosana's? Got no idea. Absolutely no idea. Could be Tingana's as well. He was there yesterday, of course. Just in case somebody misses it. Dun dun dun. Going towards, he's coming out of the Mulwati. Where would Tingana go from here? Either to Twin Dams or Treehouse. Oh, if it is Tingana. Okie dokie. It looks as though Steve has managed to hold on, never mind. We are still with me. There's these tracks here. No, these are coming up. This must have been him yesterday. Tracks backwards and forwards. All right, I'm going to do some thinking here as to which way these tracks are going, and maybe to chat to the other guides and see what they think. While I do that, let's send you back across to Patrick.
All right, well, still no sign of Tandy at all. I haven't seen any tracks or anything just yet, but still just kind of cruising around the area, seeing what I can pick up on. Now, Hosana literally did break the internet last night. I heard reports that hashtag Hosana was actually properly trending on Twitter. So that's really awesome. That's really good news, and I'm sure everyone is so glad to have him back. I don't think there would be one frowning face to know that he is back. Well, apart from obviously that of Tingana's. But something else unexpected that happened last night was I got absolutely roasted by Tristan and did not even realise. So obviously I wanted to relive last night, so I watched a little bit of the drive back, and I just came in at one of Tristan's walking segments, and he was absolutely tearing shreds off me about tying my hair up, saying it was a man bun, saying he hates it. A, Tristan, it's not a man bun, it's a ponytail at the moment. B, I didn't copy Brent Leo Smith. My first ever man bun I had was probably back in 2012. And C, jealousy is a bad colour on you, mate. No, I'm not someone who really cares how people look. It's how you act that's the important thing. And I've done nothing but be nice to Tristan, so quite hurt. Nah, I'm not. I don't really care at all. I mean, it would be nice if Hosana does stick around, but obviously today it's been quite uncertain. There's obviously been quite a few reports of leopard tracks around, and male leopard tracks to be more specific, ones that do kind of look like Hosana, but we can't confirm that until we actually physically see him. But as you saw just before, Jamie and I are both covering a similar area. Hopefully one of us can get something, and then Jamie can swoop in and say hello to her hosey boy. But also it would be interesting to see where Tlalamba got to after all of last night. She unfortunately got a little bit left out. Rosalind, when do leopards usually hunt? Well, leopards will tend to hunt at night time. We've seen them hunt obviously quite a bit in the day, but more often than not they will go towards the evening or night time or early morning. They have quite refined night vision, so they can see very well in the dark, at least a lot better than us and some other, even their cousins, the cheetahs. And they will also tend to, well, pretty much 100% of the time, they will hunt by themselves as well. So by themselves at night time is the general rule. Of course, there is always exceptions to that. And for us, we're out most of the time in the daylight hours. And we have seen many leopard hunts. And so they do definitely happen during the day. And they also will sometimes hunt together if it's a mother and cub, for example. Well, that's generally the only time, unless it's a couple of cubs together. In that case, it will be mother and a couple of cubs. But it is also something I would love to see. That would have really topped off last night, to see any one of the 3 leopards or one of the 4 leopards that were seen over the course of the drive last night. Would have been nice to see one of them hunting, and definitely something I am hungry for since being back here at Juma. The dynamic has shifted a lot since coming back from the Mara. It's now all about the leopards and the leopard hunts, whereas in the Mara it was all about the lions. All about the lions. And we did see some lion hunts, which was very nice. 2 buffalo hunts in 2 days, actually. That was a bit of a milestone for me. Still just poking around. I'll look for Tandy for a little bit longer still. I won't give up just yet. And then if I can't find anything, Carrie, yes, so there hasn't been any sign of the dogs since, was it Steve or Rusty? Rusty was last with them. Whoever was last with the dogs anyway, they haven't been seen since then. And I was absolutely gutted that I didn't get to see them while they were here. I really wanted to. It's been something I haven't seen for a long time, is wild dogs. And it would be epic to have a sighting with them, but that's okay. Hopefully they do come back, I'm sure. They are always on the move, those wild dogs. So, I mean, they could be here tomorrow, they could be here in a week. And when they come here, they could be here for an hour, they could be here for a day. We just don't know. But definitely an animal. That's another thing that I would really like to see it being back here, is wild dogs. Okay, well, from dogs to cats, Jamie is still trying to find her leopard. Let's go and see how her search is going.
Well, the search for cats continues, but of course we're not going to say no to wild dogs either. We're just going to duck below this tambuerty. Darby's going to drop the antenna ever so slightly. There we go. Now, Aubrey has just called in tracks that he believes are Hosana's going into his favourite place around Galago. So that's where we're going to head this afternoon because, well, to be honest, we don't have anything better to go on than to head in that direction. So that's what we're going to do. We're just actually in the Mulwati on the other side of the dam wall at the moment. Just one of his favourite spots. This is where he was yesterday. I'm sort of hoping that perhaps he might be attracted to this spot because of the number of animals around, but there isn't an animal to be seen. That is my current thinking, is that he might just be lying somewhere here, looking pretty. Michelle, you want to know if anyone can fill you in on the interaction with Hosana and the Anderson male. Now, for those of you who don't know Anderson is probably the biggest leopard in the Sabi Sands at the moment. He's certainly reputed to be. We've seen him a few times on drives when we still used to drive on Arathusa. And he's a very big male leopard. He's got a couple of kilograms on Tingana. Anderson is dominant in that area of Londolozi that Hosana was hanging about in. And apparently what happened was basically they met up. There was a lot of growling at each other, but as far as anybody knows, no physical contact, no physical fighting. I think what probably happened was, and it's pretty typical with male leopards fights, they can be quite, here we go, down here. They can be quite scary, but a lot of the time they're just noise, and provided that one of them submits, which is what Hosana did, then you'll find that an attack isn't necessarily imminent. Again, like any animal, we often speak about this, nothing really wants to be injured. Nothing wants to be hurt. Careful, thorns. Myself included. And especially a solitary creature like a leopard, running the risk of an injury. And Hosana is not as big as Anderson, but that doesn't mean that he couldn't do some serious damage. He's big, and he's strong, and he's fast. And even if he were smaller than his rivals, say someone like Anderson or a leopard like Anderson, he'd still be able to pack quite a punch. I mean, just before he vanished, we were talking about the fact that he was probably safe from Hukumuri, just because if they did get into a scrap, he'd run, but he would be able to hold his own long enough to not be in danger of being killed. Tree, you good?
Yep.
Well done, Dwarf. So that's all I can tell you about the interaction with the Anderson male. He came out unscathed and probably a little wiser. Might even have been what prompted his return. He looked at the male and went, no, not ready for this. Daddy? Dad? Help? Of course, he got here and Tingana promptly chased him away. Also to be expected. Okay, well, while we continue on in our search for Hosana, apparently Patrick has found us the first good sighting of the day, minus my Impala, of course.
Yes, something good to well, not maybe start this drive off, but something good that has happened is we have come across one of the avocados, or the avoca males. So I did hear there was two around, but we're just here with the one, and it's one of the most relaxed looking lions I think I've ever seen in my life. Just the position of all the paws there, just really, really showing just how lazy and carefree these lions can be when they are not out on the hunt or looking for water or fighting amongst one another. And it is also good just to have some quality time with some lions again after, well, I saw two evokers when I first came back to Djuma, but since then, actually I think this might be my first live lion since being back in Djuma, which is very cool. Quite a big boy this one is, very well developed mane. It's actually quite a beautiful mane. You can see it's kind of half blonde, half brown. And well, still like pondering. I'm still pondering that paper I brought up a long time ago, or a couple of papers actually, suggesting that lions' manes are a function of their masculinity and their testosterone levels and their dominance, in that the darker manes will obviously absorb more heat than a lighter mane, and this makes things more difficult for the lion, which may be looked at in a negative light, but if the lion can overcome the challenges of overheating or being more hot whilst doing whatever it may be, hunting or fighting or anything physical, well, then that kind of proves that he is worthy of being dominant. And well, in this case, it's kind of half dark, half white, so perhaps half manly. No, I've seen very successful blonde lions. That's why I kind of question that paper a bit. I mean, it is just speculation. Jamie says a very nice man bun on this. It's a ponytail, guys. Maybe we should tie this lion's hair up, see if it looks cool. Although Tristan might hate it. Tristan might not ever want to see this lion again if it puts a man bun in. I'm not volunteering myself to try it. Actually, very little scarring on the face of this one. Very, very good condition, actually. And, well, I'm going to sit here and admire this handsome male for a bit longer and send you back to the VOV on bushwalk.
Thanks, Pat. Well, maybe the blonde male isn't getting into as many scraps as the other two, but it's amazing how many scraps they will eventually get into, and they just keep changing their faces. But anyway, we're not looking for a lion. We're looking for the little chief. And his last tracks were over here somewhere. So we're just trying to get into the area to find the freshest of tracks. We found the remains Tundi was feeding on this morning. Hosana's tracks have gone past that, but it was earlier at some stage. Maybe him and Tundi had a little bit of a feeding affair there at one stage. And then the tracks of a male lion as well have crossed the road over here. And little bits and pieces of meat and things that have fallen from whatever that impala got dragged from. Some are on this side. When an animal gets dragged, it leaves a scent on the floor and quite often will attract all sorts of animals, especially if it's open. If a leopard drags a dead impala towards a tree, it's not open, so then they lift it up the tree and it's fine. But an animal that's been torn open and dragged along the ground, very, very common to have an animal walk along, find the smell and then trail it. And it seemed like Hosana did that, as well as a male lion. Didn't see the second male lion. I'm not sure. So we're just checking over here, trying to get onto the tracks of Hosana, who we believe to be the freshest. Generally we go by, if someone's driven a road, here we go, that is pretty fresh, eh? What do you think, Herbie? Not as fresh as... Okay, so when we look at vehicle tracks, the vehicle tracks are obviously the ones on the ground here. There's a genet here, and there's a leopard over here. So there's a leopard track here, not as fresh as we would like it, and heading in that direction back towards sort of camp. So we've also had a report on the radio that there's other tracks on Mvubu's side. Now, these are the Mahindra tracks over here, and this is the normal game viewer tracks that we have. So you've got to try and wrap your head around that as well. They're not too difficult to get your head around. So they're not on top of the Mahindra tracks, they're on top of other vehicle tracks. So that could have been from this morning or even last night. Not that fresh, considering the genet is over here. You're not going to see the genet moving around in the day, really. And this leopard's gone all the way that side. So let's keep going. I'm going to see if we can maybe catch up. Catherine, Hosana and I had an arrangement, and he had it written in his diary that he was going to return on the 28th of May 2019. And, well, here he is. I'm only joking. I have no idea, Catherine. He just decided to come north. I think it's getting dry, and what's happening down south, it's getting as dry as it is up here. And if you remember last year, Hosana spent a lot of time around the two pans that are close to our camp called Galago and Voyatella Pan. Ooh. What are you shouting at, boy? Impala rutting sounds. They shout at anything at the moment. So last year, the entire winter months, he sort of made himself very at home around our two permanent pans. He's definitely looking at something there, Herbie. We're going to investigate this. So I think there's pressure down south as well because water's becoming scarcer. So the leopards and lions that are dominating down there are probably pushing him out. When it was wet, food was a little bit more available and space was a bit more available. And I think he's now finding it more and more pressured to hang around the permanent water sources down there because that is where the other cats are. And, well, as much as we love him, he's not quite yet at the dominant age to be able to sort of compete with the big males. And we saw that little bit of a sprint he did away from Tingana yesterday, which is a very quick little sprint. He saw a big male leopard, but no, it's going to take a few days, I think, for the two of them to warm up against each other. There's something we need to check out. Herbie, what do you think? There's something here. There's definitely something here. If you just hold on a moment, Murray, there's definitely something here. Herbie's given me the freeze sign, which means stop moving. Yeah, that's snort. It's not a rutting snort. It's a snort of an impala alarming at a lion or a leopard. This is one of the reasons why we use binoculars. Both Rexon and Herbie have got incredible eyesight to be able to see the camouflage cat sneaking through the undergrowth. It's a very difficult thing. go over here, Seb, see if we can get another view. What do you think? It definitely looked like he was looking at something. Herbie's thinking he might be responding to the squirrel. That's alarm calling. It's always worth investigating. He's not a fully mature male impala, so he shouldn't be in a rutting stage. Although he is alone, might also make him a little bit skittish. Slight little bit of wind and maybe the smell of a couple of leopards and a few lions that have walked through this morning have just wafted to his nostrils. Oh, he's not sure. He's looking all over the place. Okay, so there's probably a false alarm, but that's what happens out here. False alarms are also something to investigate, and a lone animal is very wary of everything. If you're walking on your own, you also be like this the whole time. If you're with a group, get a little bit more chilled. Okay, well, we're going to keep heading on down here, see if we can come across fresher tracks of Hosana. Oh, he's very jumpy, eh? Poor boy. Come out of the thickets, then. He's standing in the thickets, not the best place to be if you're trying to hide away from a leopard. Okay, well, we're going to keep moving on, see if we can find any fresh tracks. We might give this guy a little bit of a berth around and see maybe if there is anything. And while we do that, let's go back over to Pat, who has already found, as you know, one of the evoker males.
In the woodland, the mighty savannah woodland, the lion sleeps tonight. Not much happening here with this lion. He's kind of moved his paw a little bit. Those big, giant paws, actually. Something that always gets me is, I mean, just seeing the sheer size of a lion is enough, but just to see the size of those paws, I could easily put my hand up against that and it would go past my fingers, I would say. I have pretty small hands for a man, actually, but it would still, I think, be quite a bit bigger. But just always, every time I look at them, kind of makes me go, whoa. Well, no, these are big animals. They really are. But, yeah, nothing really much happening here. Kind of looks like a dog trying to pee laying down. The way it's got its leg cocked up there. But I'm sure as the evening starts to progress, it may get a little bit more active. Although males tend to be a little bit less mobile and a little bit move a little bit less than females. I mean, depending on, of course, the situation, but just in general. But I don't think this one is going to do anything anytime soon, so we will move off. But I just wanted to sit here and spend some time with this male. Spas, I have no idea where the rest of the evokers are. As I said, there is another one that was supposedly in the area, but well, I can actually hear some alarming, so perhaps that's that. But yeah, I have no idea where they've gone. But I'm going to leave this guy now, let him relax in peace as I move on. As nice as it was to see some lions, I think finding something a little bit more active might be nice for this afternoon. What's behind me there? Alright, well, I'm just going to get out of here without getting Craig hooked on a Senegalia and send you over to Jamie, who is hopefully having a bit of luck.
Alrighty, well done, Pat. Finding the male lion, sorry. Of course, with the usual sense of timing, I just spotted some leopard tracks here that I was trying to work out if they were old or new, or I'm going with older rather than fresh. Now the search continues. And we haven't seen much else, to be honest. It's been a lovely, quiet, very pretty afternoon. It's all dusty and golden. I'm loving this time of year. Probably because I missed the last two. I wasn't in the low veld at this time of year. I was in Kenya. So to experience it now like this is such a joy. Monkeys, baboons. Just listening to the comments for a second. What do we think? Where's Hosana? Is he gone to Galago? Is he hanging out around Galago? Is he on the western edge of quarantine? Or is he in this block here between Galago and Mvubu? My money's on somewhere around here, maybe this link road. We should have placed bets yesterday as to where he was going to end up. We certainly spoke about it a lot around the fire at the camp. Oh, hang on. Gently does it. This is not a road, it's a fire break that is used as a road. So it has its moments. Nice trick with this, if you have a car whose gears can hold you, what you'll often find is if you're in first gear and low range, what you can do on a downhill is just let the car carry itself down the bumps. So basically what that does is it smooths out the entire transition because the gears hold it so that it doesn't speed up or slow down. And if you touch your brakes, you often find that it's a much bumpier experience. So if you just take your foot off the brake, which for those who are new to driving these areas can be a very counterintuitive movement, especially on a steep hill, you know, your foot automatically goes towards the brake. But once you've mastered that confidence in your vehicle's gears, then it really does actually help. And it creates a much smoother transition. There's Tax. I'm just gonna, it looks as though they want to have a quick chat with me. Hang on one moment. Hi guys. How's it going? Good? Yeah, how are you doing? Good. We are live, so we're just making sure the camera stays. Shot. Thanks, Tax. Listen, if I don't see Hosana, I'm going to go to bed crying tonight. Cheers, guys. Thanks. I won't go to bed crying. I might go to bed crying. Don't know. Weeping. All right, well, Tex has gone down the road I was going to go down. There's no point in both of us going down that road, so I'll just trundle along this way then. Okie dokie. Well, as we carry on, we're going to send you across to Steve, who probably isn't nearly as prone to tears as I am, I guess.
Cried, Jamie. I'll send you to bed again with this little teddy bear. Jamie used this guy in the Safari Lives for for one of the shows months ago, and then she kept it with her for a little while as a little snuggle toy. So Jamie, don't worry. Hosana will be coming home with you tonight. I know that'll make you happy. That'll make you happy. So the tracks have come this way and then they've gone back again, and we're just trying to figure out exactly if this was this morning, because it's hard to really get another grip on it, because once again, vehicle tracks on top of it and also not on top of it. But these are the tracks that were reported not so long ago by Rex Texan, one of the guides. So we're just trying to figure out, because on the other side of the road as well, Aubrey's calling, he's the other guy, he's calling in what he says Mootle tracks, which is very nice tracks on the other side there. So I wasn't out last night or this morning, so to know whether Hosana went this way and came back, I know he came from that side and then he ended up down there with Pat, but it's possible that he ended up going here and then back there again and then through. He can walk, this boy, he can walk. So we're just trying to figure out exactly where he's gone. Herbie's scratching his head a little bit, which means it's a little bit tricky. It's not the easiest of situations when you've got lots of leopard tracks around. to get that freshness. But the ones going back that way were fresh and the ones coming this way, but they might have been at the same time. Might have come and drunk and gone back again. Very hard to say. Anyway, we're going to cut straight through here, straight through the block, and head through towards where Aubrey called in the tracks on Mvubu Road, where I had elephants yesterday morning. Hello, Will. Well, I'm a primate. You're spotting me right now. Oh, I'm a part of the ape family, indeed, Homo. But yes, well, we've had monkeys many times on walk, many times from the vehicle, baboons as well.
Okay, well, I have left that lion now, and I'm just making my way down again. I think I have seen, this looks to be a female leopard coming down this way. So yeah, Steve was right, there are tracks all over the place. I mean, there was the same deal yesterday, and it kind of makes sense as well after seeing the outcomes of last night. Not only... Oh yeah, sorry, firstly, sorry for the gremlins there. We did have to do a little bit of a crash cut. But yeah, so when we 4 leopards and all of those lions, it makes sense that there are a lot of tracks around this morning, or today, to be more specific. And well, it's just a matter of following them to a leopard now. What an interesting interaction we had there between Hosana and Tingana. It was, well, kind of expected. I did have a feeling that if they did run into one another, that there would be a little bit of conflict. Obviously, it wasn't a huge attempt from Tingana. It wasn't like he actually lashed out and striked at Hosana. It was just a little bit of a growl and a tiny little chase, and that was the end of it. So while it was aggressive, I'm not sure whether it was enough to make Hosana completely disappear or not. But I guess time is going to tell that. Now, if we all know, well, all of our regular viewers would know the Tandi slip by now, which is a phrase we have given to Tandi because she so easily throws us off her trail, and we can be sitting right next to her and the next minute she is gone. But for Hosana, there's been 3 occasions now where he's just rocked up out of nowhere without really even looking for him or knowing he was even in the area. He's done that to me 3 times now, one of them being last night. So I feel like we need to give that a name as well. We've got the Tandi slip and the Hosana rock up. I don't know. I'll throw this one over to you guys. You're always the best at helping me, the hashtag Safari Live with a YouTube chat stream. Let me know a phrase that we could give to Hosana's hellos. I don't know. Help me out here. But he is definitely one of the more... Well, he's just less grumpy, I think. A lot less grumpy than Tandi. Perhaps it's... Perhaps Karula passed that down to Hosana. So I haven't been able to see any more of these tracks I was seeing earlier. McRambo saying hop on Hosana. Hop on Hosana, yeah. I don't mind that. Oh, Hosana hop up. Hosana hop up. Yeah, that kind of, it sounds cool. Hosana hop up. Hosana hop up. Yeah, I mean, I like it. Hosana shuffle. Whoa, I feel like we're getting a little bit off what's actually happening here. I mean, he's kind of shuffling up. The Hosana. This is a tricky one. This is almost as tricky as the Tuesday, Wednesday for cats. The Hosana surprise. That also, I mean, that really does capture it all right there. The Hosana surprise. Tandy slip and the Hosana surprise. Yeah, I like that. That sounds good. Simple yet effective. The perfect way to do things. It would be great if we got a Hosana surprise tonight. Any one of us. I've had my time with him last night, so even if Jamie or Steve, I was about to say Jeeve, Jamie or Steve, not Jamie and Steve, Jeeve. Jamie or Steve gets them tonight, that would be very cool, and I would be just about as stoked. No, actually, I'd still be more stoked if I found him, let's be honest here. But just if he does show up, I mean, everyone will be very happy if he just shows up tonight. If we can just get a look at him to see that he is physically still here. Speaking of Jamie and finding Hosana, that is precisely what she is trying to do right now. How are you going, Jamie?
I am very excited to find Hosana. You never know. We might, hopefully some of Pat's luck pays off, because he's been on a real lucky roll recently. So, you know, it doesn't really matter if it's me, Steve, or Patrick, as long as one of us manages to find him. And of course, we're looking for things along the way. So now what we're doing is we're traveling slowly down Gallagher shortcut towards the pan. The pan's been checked multiple times by multiple different vehicles, so I'm not going to go that way. I'm going to go towards some elephants that Tax told me about, and maybe Hosana will just casually stroll into the sighting with us. He has been known to do that in the past, and he did it yesterday, so we might just be fortunate. Alrighty, so FC's been very quick off the mark, unlike myself, because I've already forgotten the numbers, and they created a Twitter poll for where Hosana might be. 40-something%, 1%, said that he is in room 11 in the DRC, which is, of course, presumably the Wendy house, pretty much. And another 30-something% said that he is... What did the other 30%? What did... Gallagher Pan. No, that was 15%. Oh, yes. What was 30%? Oh, with Tingana. 30-something% is with Tingana. 31% says he's with Tingana, feeding his poor aged dad, making sure he gets a good meal, which, to be fair, Tingana looked as though he could have used a good meal, and he's definitely not going to pass up a freebie. And 15%... Okay, 15% said Gallagher Pan, another 8% said Voyatella Pan. Either way, keep your eye on the damn camera. Keep on listening for those alarm calls. The people in the DRC will be listening for alarm calls that side, I imagine. We will be notified should anything pop up. So now it's just a matter of driving around till we find him. I've got no tracks to go on. He could be in one of these drainages along here. I know all the secret ways in and out of this drainage line, but I can't just drive it willy-nilly without a reason to do so and without a sighting. Hang on one moment. Tax says he's hearing alarm calls. Kudus or Nyala, alarm calling, they're barking. Okay, we're gonna hang out a little bit longer around this spot. Herbie is responding as well. You can, we were laughing, we were joking a little bit yesterday about the change in Rex and Herbie when they heard Hosana was on the property. Their excitement was overwhelming. Everybody wants to be the one to find Hosana this afternoon. I think he's going to surprise us all, and he's going to be, I've got a funny feeling, but I shouldn't be negative about this, but I've got a funny feeling he might not grace us with his presence this afternoon, and he's going to be sitting outside my gate tonight when I head back to my room. That's my feelings. I think there is a very strong possibility that that could happen. Right, speaking of the bushwalk team, they are also all ears and eyes this afternoon. Let's go and see if they've heard anything.
He might indeed, Jamie, and then you'll have a Hosana teddy bear in your bed and Hosana outside watching you through the window. Anyway, we've just walked past Gallagher Pan, and so those of you who voted for Gallagher Pan in the Twitter poll, sorry for you. There's no tracks around here, but we've just heard some kudu's alarm calling fair distance off. And that could be for a leopard, it could be for a lion, who knows. But we're going to move quite swiftly into that area. I was talking earlier, and unfortunately you lost us. We lost signal. I don't know what's going on with our bushwalk pack today, but I was talking about how monkeys are very reliable alarm callers. So too, for me, are kudu. Kudu are very, very reliable, and they're very loud. Whoa! Booming call can be heard for quite some distance. Obviously, Nyala have got a very similar sound, not as loud, and then bushbuck as well. It's that typical bark-like sound, like a dog, just a whoa. I'm not doing a very good one. But obviously, as we go along, we want to keep checking tracks. But alarm calls often give you an indication of where an animal is. Tracking, you know, it's a fine art to figure out exactly how long ago an animal passed somewhere. But alarm call, you know it's happening right now. Same as if you hear lions calling or leopards calling. It's the same thing. They are indicating to their rivals that they are there now. Whereas they walk along and their scent mark, they're leaving a trail of their presence, but that'll only be detected when an animal actually goes past that area. That makes sense. It's like sneaking into your house and going upstairs, or ringing the doorbell before going in. Not any sense, actually. Robert, that's an interesting question. Robert wants to know which animal is the most comfortable to be on foot with. You stumped me. I'm going to have to think about that. Obviously, all of the big five are potentially dangerous. So, you know, if you know what you're doing, it's pretty comfortable. Using terrain, using slopes, using cover, no problem. But all the general game, there's no issue with general game on foot. I wonder if you're wondering if it's me who's comfortable or them. Because most animals, when they see us, this two-legged, upright, walking human being, they just run away. They don't like seeing us on foot. So no animals are generally comfortable with us on foot if they are aware that we're there. That's a general sort of thing. They've become habituated to vehicles because a vehicle to them is a very strange object that hasn't been hunting them for years on foot. But evolutionary-wise, most animals on the African continent have evolved with this upright standing man who's running around with spears and things trying to kill them. So they run at the first sign of you, and they do an alarm call and run away. But we do get animals living in our camp. We've got a bushbuck that lives right next door to right next door to my room. He's in camp. He comes right into camp, and he is as chilled as can be. You can get, honestly, this close. Hey, Seb? Yeah, you've been there. You don't want to get too close to a bushbuck, but he comes close to you, which is pretty cool. But bushbuck, back them into a corner. They got these very sharp horns, and a bushbuck is an animal that has actually killed a human before, because obviously tortoises are... My audio is popping, I do apologize. Me and these mic leads, I don't really know. Obviously, Jamie says a tortoise is the most comfortable because it just goes into its shell. Can't run away. It can't run away. But bushbuck and Nyala get very, very relaxed around camps, as do warthog. But I don't really like warthogs around camps because they are very strong, and those tusks. If a warthog suddenly decides it wants food from you and you don't give it, and it gives you one of those, sever an artery in your leg or something, and you will be very, very sore. We're going to continue up here, see if we can find tracks, see if we can hear those alarm calls ourselves. Meantime, let's go to Pat and a sleeping cat.
Yes, well, I think it also has a lot to do with their comfort, with how exposed they are to humans on foot when it comes to seeing animals on foot. I know that up in the Mara we were allowed to walk around on top of the escarpment, and there was a lot of giraffe, a lot of impala, zebra, various other antelopes that would all be up there on top, and we would pretty much be able to walk straight past them. Some of the zebra would not even flinch if you walked past them within, 5 meters even. So I think it also does have a bit to do with how used to seeing humans on foot these animals are. And even here at camp, the squirrels and the dwarf mongoose that hang around camp, they're also quite oblivious to us unless we do get a little bit too close. But in general, they're quite fine. Now I'm coming up, not too well, I just kind of passed through the area where I got my first ever Hosana surprise. When I was sitting, actually it was Craig and I, again, we were sitting with Corky, the matriarch of the Juma clan, and then out of nowhere, Hosana shows up, and well, then the two of them actually interacted. Hosana went right up to Corky, and it wasn't until the last moment that Corky noticed Hosana there, and then... well, when they got next to one another, it really just it went to show how big female hyenas are. I mean, I didn't think that there was actually that much of a size difference between the two, but seeing them together, Corky looked much bigger and much denser, thicker, stronger than Hosana. But that was back then. And although last night I did say from my initial thoughts from looking at him that he hadn't grown that much, but then watching some footage from back then compared to now, it definitely does seem like he has filled out a bit. So I've definitely changed my opinion there. And well, I mean, the fact that I did confuse him for Tingana for those first couple of minutes really does go to show that I thought he was up to Tingana's size as well. So definitely has done a little bit of growing, the little chief, or the not so little chief now. All right, well, I was speaking about dwarf mongoose around the camp. They're a very, very cute little animal, and Jamie would like to show you them.
Well, this is something that you definitely can't really confuse with anything else. And this is actually a young dwarf mongoose. I wouldn't call it a baby, but it certainly isn't an adult just yet. It's already out of the den, or out of the burrow that it grew up in. That happens at around about 4 weeks old. They first start foraging with the rest of their family, but it is so cute. When they're little, they've got almost round faces, and then as they get older, then their noses become more and more elongated and pointed, like puppies, in a way. Oh, we're grooming. You are so cute. This is so nice. They're so close to us. It's quite a relaxed group because they're on a main road. The other day I watched one at Inga's an adult catch a scorpion outside Seb's room and then feed it to one of the babies. It was terribly sweet. Oh, little one, you left behind. Run, run, run. Run, run, run. Run, run, run. There we go. Safety of the whole. Oh, we're all going. We're all running. We're going into the road in front of us and across. Come, little one. You're very far behind. There's always one. No, that's the complete opposite of the way that all the rest are going. You have definitely... Oh, we can hear the squeaks. Little contact calls. Elana says that growing dwarf mongoose are lovely. They are, aren't they? There's something so sweet about them. Although in my head what I was imagining was growing little pot plant dwarf mongoose. And watering them every day. But I know with absolute certainty that's not what you meant. It's just where my head went to. We have a little family business that lives outside our house in the wildlife estate in Hoedspruit. And they are VM's absolute best. Linda says that they remind her of her hamster. Yes, absolutely. I can see completely what you mean, Linda. I assume that is, of course, James Hendry, the hamster, who has become quite a celebrity in his own right. They're just a little bit bigger, I imagine, than James Hendry, the hamster, that is, not the person. The person is relatively small, but not nearly as small as a dwarf mongoose. But I can see the similarities there, and there's probably, you'll notice that they move in a very, very similar way in the way that they scratch about. There's one there, Darby. That is, there we go. Yeah, there. Oh, there's two now. Matsikitoch. I've been told in the past that I would be a dwarf mongoose if I were to be an animal. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but they're so cute, I think it could be worse. Have you seen Hosana? Probably not. And it's almost at this time of year getting to the point where it's bedtime for them. Now, McGrambo would like to know if dwarf mongoose will ever eat fruit off the trees. Look, they are carnivores. They fall into the order Carnivora, and their diet is almost entirely insect-based. However, I wouldn't put it past them to have a nibble on some fruit. You don't really see it. Oh, there's a fork-tailed drongo as well that's with them, forming a little partnership with them. Oh, cute. Look at the way it was running there. It's gone now, Dwarf. Sorry. Flew away off that branch. Run, 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 run. So I wouldn't put it past them to nibble on fruit if there were some. Wait, one more. Oh, he just ran across the road. They're moving so quickly. Let's see if we can catch up with them round there, just because I like dwarf mongoose sightings. Oh, little baby. I didn't see you there. You are very far behind everybody else. Come on. Somebody's going to start getting concerned and come and look for you. Oh, look. Now it's been left behind. No, you're being so naughty. You're going completely the opposite way. And I know that you can hear the contact calls with the others. You are just being naughty. Like a willful puppy. Something in there that's really attracted its attention that it wants. And that's where it came from. When I started the engine, it obviously ran back towards the hole and then it carried on digging here. It's heard something. Oh, your mommy is going to get so cross with you. And of course, the whole family group, or the business of mongoose, will actually group together to help to raise the little ones. So they look after them, they take turns babysitting. Ian, some species of mongoose are bigger than meerkat, but not this particular species. So we've got 4 that we see regularly out here. Well, regularly is a bit of a stretch. A banded, which is about the same size as a meerkat. The dwarfies, which are much, much smaller than meerkats. The white-tailed, which is bigger than the meerkat. And then the slender, which is longer than a meerkat, including its long tail, but smaller bodied. It's a little bit lighter looking than a meerkat. A meerkat's quite a stocky creature. So a banded is around about the same size. So we get different species. We could also see water mongoose out here. We've seen their tracks before, but I think that they've probably, in the years of the drought, they've probably moved off to different areas closer to the river. So I don't think we'll be likely to see them on drive. They're also a little bit bigger than your average meerkat. Now I'm invested in this little one's future. Is it going to go and catch up with the rest of its family? What you'll find when dwarf mongoose are foraging is that they are constantly contact calling to each other. So they make these little sounds as they forage, and it's their way of keeping track and making sure that they don't get separated. Because you can imagine what it's like being eye level, essentially, with what it must be like being eye level with a mongoose. You can't see anything. From where this little mongoose is to where the rest of its family have gone, there is absolutely no way it would be able to see them. So they rely almost purely on listening. Now, Alana would like to know if they're very maternal. Yes, in their own way. So it is typically the alpha female that breeds. Again, like with wild dogs, sometimes whoopsies happen, and one of the other females will fall pregnant at the same time. Often you'll find that those babies don't survive. The alpha doesn't appreciate competition with her little ones. I don't know what it is that it's attracted its attention in there, because it's definitely not keen on... Oh, is it going to go? Sorry. I'm invested in this now, Darby. I want to see if it gets back to its family. Come on. So the mothers are very protective over their babies. Yes, hop, 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 hop. Go, 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 go. Go, 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 go. You getting there? No, don't stop there. I want to move now. Yes, bounce, bounce, bounce. They're squeaking to you. Okay, it's going to cross the road, hopefully. And then it'll be... I don't want to start the engine now in case I send it scurrying back away from them. But the whole group, as I mentioned earlier, will be invested in helping to look after the little ones. So they take turns babysitting. If there's a snake, they'll all join in mobbing it and getting it away from the babies. They'll help to move the babies. They'll go and collect the babies. Where's it gone? Oh no. Still hasn't crossed the road, I don't think. Come on, mischief. Come on. I can't sit here all day staring at grass, you know. Can't even hear the others squeaking now. They've got quite far ahead. Let's try roll. Oh, we're not rolling anywhere. Nope. Definitely not. Still give it the room to cross. It was pretty relaxed with us earlier. Okay, let me just move away from this area so it can go catch up with the rest of them. I don't know where it went from there. The rest of them are long gone. I wouldn't fret too much though. One of them will come back and fetch it. Sometimes mongoose don't effectively dodge snake attacks, and sometimes they fall victim to snake attacks. It's just one of those things. But, oh yeah, something much bigger than a dwarf mongoose is up ahead. But they will mob snakes and they will kill snakes, and they do have a certain level of resistance to snake venom. It varies from snake to snake, it varies from mongoose species to mongoose species, but they do have a little bit of resistance. But their babies often fall victim to snake attacks. Please be fang, please be fang, please be fang. Hello, ladies. I haven't seen an elephant in forever. Oh, how nice. Hello, pretty girls and boys. Where should we stop? Should we stop here? There's lots going on. A nice big herd. Oh, yay. Look, sorry, Darby. Look at these two up ahead of us. They're having a best time. Yay. I love elephant sightings at this time of year because it's nice and cool. So they're actually full of energy and full of beans. No, that quarry bush isn't very nice, is it? Quarry bushes always look appetizing, but they're actually not very. But they're very suitable for showing off how you can barge past them. And that little one at the back wants to join in. Isn't quite brave enough to. I don't go all the way over there. The baby's being shepherded by the mother, who's quite a young mother by the looks of things, and therefore is going to be particularly protective over it. Not going to let it join in. Hey, lovelies. Oof. You know what? If I don't see Hosana, I might be disappointed, but at the same time, this has just made my day. Significant size difference there. Oh, come on. Are you going to be brave enough? Oh. A bit of an obstacle. Hello? Hello, yes. Oh, no, okay. I thought we might hold a bit of attraction there for the little one. Thought it might come up and say hello, but we're a little bit far away. I'm not going to move, though, because there's more coming across from our right-hand side, which is going to be absolutely lovely. Once I get a bit closer, then we'll have a little quiet moment in this golden light. It's just so lovely. Don't think it's Fang's herd. Hard to tell. A couple of big old females. Lady Starfire says that she loves sitting with elephants. I think you'd be hard-pressed to find people who don't feel that way. There's something about them that no matter what mood you find yourself in, they're completely leveling. If you're angry, they take it away. If you're sad, they make you happy. If you're overexcited, they calm you down. There's just something about them. I find that there is not a bad mood in the world that a herd of elephants can't put right with a nice, relaxed, calm sighting. And every now and again as a guide, what you find is that you've got guests who are a little bit afraid of elephants. And nothing is a better cure than sitting with a peaceful sighting like this. At a safe distance, at a comfortable distance for your guest, so that they can actually experience the majesty of elephants without feeling threatened. Now, as our elephants munch away, Avery would like to know what an African elephant's favorite food is. For the savanna elephants, and obviously this will differ depending upon where it is in Africa they're found, but you'll find for all of the species, actually, that they will prefer to eat grass as a general rule, as a base for their diet. Obviously, at this time of year, that becomes more and more difficult, but it's just softer, it's easier to chew for them, and it is more nutritious. So what you'll find is that in summer months, their dung is full of grass. They will also then in winter then spend a lot more time eating bark. So it's that flip side of the seasons. Their favorite food, however, is fruit. So if there is fruit available to them, mostly where I'm referring specifically to things like marulas, but it's not uncommon for them to raid citrus farms on the edges of the reserves. They love an orange. Or they've been known even in some parts of Kruger to break into tourist cars to get to mangoes. They love mangoes. Oranges, mangoes. Marulas would be the naturally occurring fruit that they particularly like here. Sometimes they will eat jackalberries as well. So fruit ultimately will be their favorite food. As you can imagine, high in sugar, in fruit sugars. It's always an exciting draw card for elephants. They've been known to walk specific pathways to fruiting trees. And every year, when the marula's fruit on quarantine, we have male elephants wandering about. You are so beautiful, old girl. It's a big herd. I'm going to settle in for a little moment, just enjoy this spectacular sighting while I do. Patrick's gone on a mission. Let's go and see where he's missioning to and if he's found anything.
Well, Jamie, I am very, very jealous of you right now. I've only seen a single male elephant since being in Djuma, and I would really, really love just to sit there and enjoy the presence of a herd. But that is okay. Maybe I'll find Hosana, and then I can swap Hosana for the elephants. Make a deal with Jamie. That sounds like it would work. So we're just following some leopard tracks at the moment. There's a whole range of tracks all around this area, most of them being leopard and, well, the important ones, sorry, being leopard and lion. And they're kind of going in all sorts of directions, but this one is going off. So we went to the eastern side of the property, then have kind of come up more north now. Tyrone is asking whether we have any other male coalitions. Well, we've got the Evokers, the Birmingham boys, well, not really a coalition, but the Mongani males, and oh, they're the only ones I can think of off the top of my head. I haven't had heaps of experience with the lions here. Obviously in the Mara I got to know them very, very well. But I don't think actually I've even seen the Birmingham boys, to be honest. I think the Evokers and the Mongani males are the only male lions I have seen here on Djuma. So just trying to pick back up on where these tracks have gone. Oh, hang on, is that there? Nope. The trail has gone a little bit cold here. I was on a very nice one for a second. There's a lot of LE tracks here. I wonder if they're the ones that Jamie was with before. So a whole range of animals coming onto Djuma at the moment. It's great. It's really good that we've had so many lions and elephants and leopards, all the ones that we love seeing out here. 3 of the big 5. Open your eyes, Patrick. Ian, could I find any bird tracks? Well, I'm sure that I have seen some bird tracks, but none that I have been able to identify. And I mean, it's not really worth tracking birds, to be honest, at least to try and find them. I think it's interesting to know the tracks, but obviously birds have the power of flight. So, I mean, there's ground birds, but they do still fly and move around quite a bit. I mean, you could try tracking a francolin if you wanted to, I guess. Or maybe an ostrich. But yeah, none that I have, seen and gone, oh, I know what bird that is, or any that I've really taken notice of. Mostly there's a lot of impala and other antelopes. Sometimes we get buffalo. But it's a fun little hobby, or activity, maybe the better word to describe it, for tracking. Okay, well, let's go back to that beautiful big herd of alleys with the very lucky Jamie Patterson.
showing you are aging tracks, but it's more about knowing what a bird track looks like more than anything else. And of course, just for the sheer skill of it. I'm just keeping an eye on one elephant who's walked behind us, but she's lovely and calm, so we'll see her in a little bit when she pops out the other side. Oh! What did that quarry ever do to you, huh? Getting into the seed bank underneath the dead quarry branch. Or semi-live quarry branch. Yes, that was in your way. Possibly can smell something underground as well. I'm not sure what it's after. That grass doesn't look particularly appetizing. Now, Kirstsider wants to know what the elephants have hair on their chins for. Well, it just so happens that they're actually quite hairy creatures. It's just very sparse, but their entire body is covered with hair. But it's particularly numerous or dense around their chin and around their lip. And the reason that they have that is because you can imagine with that big trunk, they have a complete blind spot there. So it serves a very important function with their proprioception. Like whiskers on cats, that hair can pick up on any kind of pressure around the outside of it, and as a result can help them direct things like food, for example, to their mouths or their trunks. It's a combination of sensory inputs that allows them to work out exactly where they're putting their mouths. And elephants are very, very good for such large animals. They have a fantastic feel for where their body is. If you ever watch an elephant walk along a narrow ledge or sort of move through an area that might be considered to be a bit tricky for an animal as large as an elephant, they're very good at where they place their feet. And they've got a fantastic sense of spatial awareness, you know, and a fantastic sense of putting themselves behind bushes as well. Hey, yes you do. Lovely things. Hello. But their entire body is covered in hair. You can't see it because it's sparse and it's dark. Sorry, Murray, you broke up with the essence of that question there. I know it is from Samu, who is 11 years old. Now, Samu, who is 11 years old, wants to know if animals remember or forget about yesterday. And the answer to that is most of the large animals, I'm pretty certain, remember yesterday relatively well. What they remember, we don't know. There's something odd about that elephant. It's got a little hernia, I think, or some sort of fluid built up around its belly. I don't know what that is. Sorry, Samu. I will answer that properly. It depends on the animal. An animal like an elephant is phenomenally intelligent. So they will remember yesterday. They will remember potentially 10 years previously. What is that? Is that a hernia? Or just a fluid? Sometimes they do get sort of fluid build-up under their skin. And it's quite common to see it on their sides, but I haven't seen it on their belly like that before. I don't know. I think that looks like a hernia. I'm just going to wait for this Ellie to move behind us, and then I'll reposition. I'll start up and move. Although he's giving us plenty of space. It is a male. It's a female, I'm sorry. Talking nonsense. It's a young female. Okay, there we go. Now I can turn around. I'm quite close to the gate. So I'm going to go and investigate that in a little bit once these Ellies have moved off. Well, there's a nice open area just to the north of us where the elephants are heading in that direction. It's going to be beautiful with the sunset. So certain animal species won't remember. You know, there's limited capacity for learning within reptiles. They can learn, but it is not in the same way that mammals do. It's just, oh, why are you pushing the dead tree over? Come on, do it again. There we go. That was just purely for fun. Just a little test of strength there. Oh, is that nice? Nice scratchy part. You can do it. That is purely for the satisfaction. There we go. Nearly there. Well done. Now what? Why did you do that? There's not even anything around there at the base for it to really eat. I mean, it's eating something there, but that's not why I pushed the tree over. That was just, oh, maybe. Maybe it wasn't completely purposeless. Now it's kicking it round and over. Maybe there's a bulb down there that it wants. Maybe some roots. Obviously that tree is really truly deceased and has been for a while, so the root systems won't be particularly nice to eat, but maybe there's something hidden in there. Well done. Just goes to show the power of an elephant. That's not a big elephant. Admittedly, it wasn't a very big tree, but it was still pretty impressive. Cool. All right, we're going to sit it out a little bit longer because I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth with a sighting like this. While we sit here and contemplate the elephants, Steve has found some wildebeest.
Well, elephants this time of year definitely start to damage many more trees than there were in the summer months in their search for the nutrients in the bark or even in the roots. A lot of the trees out here are adapted for fire, and in the winter months they take a lot of their nutrients into the soil in the roots where they are safe from the frequent fires that sort of tear through the African savanna in our winter months. But something that is not tearing through the African savanna, is just feeding quite casually on the open plains, is the small herd of wildebeest that we find quite commonly here around Leopard. And we are not, well, we're about 100 meters from Leopard now. There's a whole lot of Impala around and wildebeest. Everybody's looking very relaxed. So we're just skirting around these guarri bushes here, the thickets that the camouflaged Hosana has been very well known to just sort of hide in. We managed to find the tracks that Aubrey had found earlier, and Hosana's been zigzagging inside of the block. So if he's not at Galago, then I'm sure he must be here somewhere near Leopard. He's probably just biding his time because there's a large herd of Impala there, and we've seen him many times wait in the thickets close to Leopard, and then when one silly Impala on his own comes a bit too close, then he takes care of it. But inside this block there's a lot of traffic, lots of Impala and wildebeest, as you can see, moving up and down to the watering hole. So we haven't managed to find any fresher tracks in the block after you started zigzagging. So we're just going with our gut. We're going to wait for some alarm calls as we sort of skirt around the thickets here. We did see some monkeys earlier close to the Voyatela Lodge, so they might spot him before we do. But it's getting to that time of day where he might want to move. It's very likely that he's moved earlier today and has just been resting up somewhere close to this pan in anticipation for some food. Oh, Linda, they do make a similar noise down here. The gnu, 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 gnu. You don't hear it all the time, though, but in the Mara we get so many more gnus up there that's deafening. Here the herds of wildebeest have been limited by migration routes cut off to the west, and the herds as well in the Sabi Sands aren't what they used to be because of bush thickening, bush encroachment. But I was on my silent trail just 2 weeks ago, excuse me, and there was definitely a couple territorial male wildebeest that were calling quite regularly. So they do call, but it's not as common. Obviously there's only a few of them around, and if we had more, that would be deafening. And bearing in mind the two species are different. The GNU here sounds slightly different to the GNU up in the Mara, which is a constant, incessant sound that just fills your ears, and it's a deafening sound that chases all of the elephants away. But here, for the most part, they're a little bit quieter, but the noise from a male does carry quite some distance when he's calling. But as you say it, Linda, we don't hear them as often as we would like. It is a nice GNU, GNU, GNU. The male Impala disappears. Okay, let's keep moving on here, Seb, shall we? Herbie's just ahead here, trying to see if Hosana's come down to the watering hole. Hello, Tyrone. I'm pretty comfortable with all the big five, to be honest. Spent a lot of time with all of them. Since I've been a groom, I've spent a lot of time with leopard on foot. I've got many, many encounters with buffalo, lots of buffalo. It's probably buffalo bulls at close quarters are probably that one animal that is a little bit frightening, because buffalo bulls aren't in a herd, so they almost become very unaware of your approach, and suddenly one will step up behind a bush 5 or 6 meters from you because he was kind of having a doze there. No oxpeckers on him because he's on his own. He's not a huge herd of animals that attracts the oxpeckers, so they can stand up and they can look at you, and that can be a little bit daunting at very close quarters. Lions and leopards, you know, there's nothing quite like the growl, the noise you experience, the feeling you experience inside of yourself when a lion growls at you. It's very hard to explain. But at the end of the day, there's always a fear inside of you. This is what keeps us alive. And you don't think about anything when you're on foot with these big animals. If there's elephants far in the distance or buffalo far in the distance, you make a nice approach and you sit nicely and you got cover and all of that, everything's fine. But when things suddenly end up being very close, it doesn't matter which one of the big five, your heart races, all sorts of other body functions start to happen as well. And that flight and fight sort of adrenaline starts to pick up. And afterwards, it's very, very common for you to be a little bit shaky, maybe a little bit ashen-faced. If you've ever been charged by a lion or a leopard, there's no experience like that. We never encourage anybody to do that, but every now and again, you encounter lions that are sleeping in a tree, and they come and shout at you, and it is definitely priceless. It's definitely an experience that you will never, ever forget. But obviously, ideally, you would like to see those animals before they respond. And so often we've seen the unkuhumas, even the evokers, and they just sort of stick their heads up behind you. It's why we keep so quiet when we walk. It's why we stay together as in a group. And it's the main reason why we have to have Herbie on walk with us, because with this earpiece here, I have a very difficult time hearing what's going on left or right. I can hear things, but the direction of where that sound's coming from sometimes is a bit tricky. So buffalo standing up at close quarters, or lion or leopard exploding out the bush at you at close quarters, can be very, very exhilarating. Okay, well, talking about big five and talking about elephants, Jamie is having a wonderful afternoon with elephants.
Look at this. This is absolutely lovely. We've got a little visitor. He is right up closer to the vehicle. Hello, my boy. It's so special. I was caught off guard there for a second because I was just listening to alarm calls from just behind me. There were leopard tracks heading in this direction, so it might be worth my going to have a look and seeing what that is in a little bit. But first, it sounds as though Taxon has actually found something. I don't know whether Patrick might want to just confirm with him. I don't know where Pat is, but it sounds quite interesting. Let me just check with Tax quickly. Tax, confirm you've got visual of it. Interesting. Dead python. Copy. Thanks, Tax. It's a dead python that Taxon's found. I was listening to the directions. Hang on, let me let Pat go. No, go for it, Pat. Cool. Hello, my boy. You're getting closer and closer. It's a really nice opportunity for you to listen to him feeding. Nicely, my boy. Nicely. I know. Hi. Did you really want that bush, or was that just an excuse to come say hi? Oh. Big head shake. Yes, you naughty. Are you naughty? Yes, you are. That's just a young male giving us the opportunity to look right up close to him. Fortunately, if we had a guest, we'd obviously be telling them to stay still immediately. But fortunately, the guys on the back of our vehicles know exactly what to do. That was lovely. Thank you, boy. I really enjoyed that. Yes. Talking to him like that, it's something that I go over quite a bit with elephants. He doesn't know what I'm saying, but he does recognize tone. And it allows me to establish a line of communication with him that can then become slightly sterner if necessary, if he was showing any signs of aggression. But there was no sign of any aggression there. He came walking right up and he had a good look. And the only time I was slightly concerned was he reached out his trunk. I thought he was going to touch the car, but he didn't. He didn't, did you? Because you know what? Well-behaved boy. There is an old elephant here that is so pregnant that honestly I think she might pop any moment now. The baby is sitting. It's quite high still. I was hoping she was going to stay with her bottom towards us, because that's when it's easiest to see. They carry their pregnancies really high up in their bodies, right close to their spines, until it's time for them to give birth, at which point it drops. But she is really pregnant. I mean, you can't be really pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not. She's quite far along in her pregnancy. And she's an old elephant. This is probably her previous calf that's walking up next to her. Won't you turn your back on us for a second, girl, so we can see how wide you are? Or is that rude? Now, Ian wants to know if elephants have low blood pressure. Do you know, I've never really thought about elephants' blood pressure. They've got very slow heartbeats. That blood's got a long way to travel. I'm not sure. It's a good question. I actually don't know anything about elephants' blood pressure. Not a clue. I'll try to angle myself behind this old lady so we can have a look at her. I don't know. I would have thought that they probably have high blood pressure, but now that I think about it, I don't know why I think that. A giraffe obviously has very high blood pressure to be able to pump blood all the way to its brain. They've got very large hearts. Would their blood pressure be high or low? I'm open to suggestions on #SafariLive on Twitter. I mean, when we talk about high or low blood pressure, I'm saying in comparison to human beings. So relative to their body size and all of that, what is the normal range for an elephant's blood pressure? I don't know, but I imagine that the blood pressure cuff would have to be enormous. I'm one of those people, when I go to the doctor, they have to switch out the adult blood pressure cuff for the kids one, because mine just slips off me. But I doubt there's a blood pressure cuff that could actually accurately human blood pressure cuff. Well, there's other ways of determining it, of course. Blood pressure cuffs haven't always been around. I don't know. I haven't the faintest clue what the blood pressure of an elephant is. Not a clue. Good question. Never thought about it before. Their heart rate's incredibly slow. So interesting. I wonder what went through that elephant's mind as he came up to us. Curiosity, but then it's been completely satisfied. He's had a look, We didn't run away. We weren't great fun. We weren't entertaining to chase. Oof. Talking to each other. Who knows what they're saying? Turfing the stick. And we've settled in for a really, really lovely afternoon. I imagine that Steve has also had a lovely afternoon. It's beautiful out on foot here on these winter's afternoons.
Well, everybody, we've been looking for tracks of Hosana. We're also walking around. There's no signs. I've just found some signs of what looks like a small female leopard. And we know Tlalamba's also somewhere in the area. When we cut Hosana's tracks early, we found some female tracks. And she was seen just down the road here last night by Pat. And Hosana bumped into her. And I think she got a bit of a fright because she could smell those male lions. They were very close there in the morning. Herbie's just going to confirm with me if I'm completely talking nonsense. There we go. There's a beautiful leopard track right over here. And this is quite fresh. It's in the sand. This is an area just behind us here, just below the sort of Weirtela Dam wall, where we get lots of activity of our cats. Hosana spent so much time behind there. Tingana as well, that wonderful sighting where I think Tingana had a kudu and then Tlalamba fed off of it, was just down here. Many sightings just around us. We're just going to keep moving around because one time Herbie, myself and Dave was on camera, tracked Hosana all the way in here. Eventually we gave up. We walked up the road. We heard a Nyala barking. We came running down here and we got him live, which was awesome. So we're just going to follow these female tracks because female leopard's better than no leopard. And let's just see where they go to. It's difficult to tell down here in the sand about how fresh. So by coming to the open patch on the road, get a better idea. Hey, Herbie, you reckon this is from last night? Yep. Okay, so it's from last night. They've been driven all over. There we go. Female leopard track, much smaller than a male. For those of you out there who haven't seen a leopard track before, it's always nice to use some form of measurement. So when you take a measurement here, now this knife is 10 centimeters. Now there's the back of the track and there's the front of the track there. So it's about 8 centimeters and this is in the soft sand. So almost 8.5 centimeters, maybe even 9. But because of the soft sand makes it look a bit bigger. But a male leopard track would be up to the 10 mark. So centimeters are very, very important when looking at tracks to be able to identify male and female. And also if you wanted to take a picture for reference, always use some form of measurement, be it a box of matches or a pen, anything that you have, so that later on you can compare it with somebody. Because you might find a track and take a picture, there's no scale. Without scale, well, you'll have no idea what you're looking at. You can even confuse an eland with a giraffe. You shouldn't, but it could happen. Anyway, we're going to carry on here, see if we can find any fresh tracks of this lovely gentleman over here. And while we do that, with the sun setting beautifully in the background, let's go back over to Pat, who I think was heading off somewhere.
Yes, the sun is starting to set, and it's I think the clouds are going to block it a bit tonight. Was a good spot for it there, but at the moment I'm doing something a little different right now and actually looking out to see if I can see a python. So I've heard that there is one in the area and we are just here having a little bit of a poke about. The person that called in the sighting is now gone, and so we're kind of on our own a bit, but I thought, why not for something different, just have a little bit of a sniff, a little bit of a scratch around, and see if we can come up with anything. I'm assuming it's going to be quite hard to spot, especially because we are in an area of long grass, but why not? Why not? Definitely something different to trying to find leopards, or lions, or ellies. Ah, okay. So I've just got another update that the python is dead on top of a termite mound. Interesting. Okay, well, I'll be looking to Termitaria then to help me out. But I've only ever seen one rock python here in Juma. It was a huge one though. It was about 3.5 meters long. So what's that in feet? About 10 to 12 foot. It was a monster. Even it was enough, Brent was out with us at the time, and even he got very excited. Well, actually, no, Brent does get quite excited, but it's the first time I'd seen it. And yeah, it was epic. Really, really epic to see something that big. And then in the Mara even, there was, I didn't see it with my own eyes, but nearby to where we were, there was a video that actually went quite viral of a python eating a hyena. Well, I mean, it had already eaten the hyena. The hyena was in its stomach. So there was just, I'm sure the video is somewhere about where the python has this entire hyena inside of it. It's hard to fathom something being that big, and it's hard to fathom stalling your car on live television. Yeah, I believe it was a full-grown hyena. I don't think the python killed it itself. I'm not sure actually how it died, but geez, that would have been such a cool sighting to have actually seen. To have seen this thing swallowing it. I mean, the video, as I said, it was already in its stomach, quite far down. But imagine seeing that. See, one of the adaptations of snakes is their ability to unhinge the jaws. But still, to fit around a hyena, that's just something I can't really get my head around. Sorry, I've just got to make about a 5,000 point turn here. And onwards. Something we don't see a lot of out here, or even up in the Mara, was not a whole range of reptiles. We have a lot of skinks that live around camp, and you know, we see the odd snake here and there, the odd angama as well. Agama, sorry, they're very, very cool, those ones. But in general, I've seen a couple of Nile monitors here, and well, a lot of Nile crocodiles up in Kenya. And it would be cool, even if the snake is dead, it would be nice just to pop in and have a look. And I wonder what killed it. I wonder if it got trampled by an elephant, which is the animal that Jamie is with right now.
You never know. It might have been an elephant. It's definitely within the realms of possibility. Although we haven't seen Ellies in so long, it's really nice to catch up with them once again. And they're moving into this open area, but the pregnant lady is sort of blocking my route to get across in front of the rest of the herd. I don't want to push too close to her, and at the moment I'd be forced to drive directly at her. And I'm just working on the assumption that carrying a 100-kilogram baby might put someone in a bad mood. I imagine that it probably makes their backs ache, and they probably need to urinate every 5 minutes. So I'm not going to in any way tempt fate here with her, although she has not even once glanced at us. I think we can move here, Darby, now that you've managed to sort of get all settled nicely. I'm actually going to shift slightly just to get a view of her face. Hi, old girl. Oh, that was subtle. Drive over a dead branch. Hey, there we go. Obviously, I haven't... Oh, there we go. Plop. just moving around. What they're doing at the moment is getting into the thickets where there's seed banks. So where trees have fallen over. Oh, I hope he's saying there's alarm calls. Wahlberg's area. Which way? Copy, Herbs. I'm on Impala Road, so I'm quite far, but I'll start making my way that side. Guys, I think we have to say goodbye to the Ellies for now. It sounds Herbie's confident he's got Hosana's tracks and that there are alarm calls on quarantine. So I'm probably going to... I'm just listening... Mulwati. Okay. What to do? I mean, I've got reports of an Impala kill on Triple M. I've got elephants here. I've got Herbie sounding stressed about alarm calls. Bye-bye, Elise. It was lovely to see. And we've got a school drive coming. So these are all the factors that we're weighing up in our minds while we are live and while we're showing you all these animals. There's so many different priorities running through our heads. It's Herbie. He'll never let me live it down if I leave him in the lurch. I have to go to him. I'm coming, guys. I'm coming. Herbie, I'm coming along power lines. Well, I will be on power lines shortly. There's just so many factors to balance up. I'd love to show the kids those elephants, but I can always come back to them. It's fine. They just mustn't go too far, but they've been moving really slowly from where we first encountered them. Oh, Darby, I turned up the aircon there. Getting a little chilly in the back there. Darby's reached across for his jacket. I've already got 2 on. Lauren apparently has Googled elephant blood pressure. Thank you, Lauren. I think many of you will have done the same, so I really appreciate that. 186 over 118. Did I hear that correctly? Sorry, the wind is actually blowing poor Murray's comms away from me. I think that's what she said, which is high compared to your average human. 176 over 118. That's still high. 176 over 118, that's pretty high compared to the average 120 over 80-ish for a human being. Now, of course, everybody's different. I mean, my blood pressure is extremely low, but it's just the way I am. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't cause me any harm. I sit at... I can't even remember what my blood pressure was the last time I had it taken. About 100 over 70. Something like that. Come on, Hosana. Come on, Herbie. The circumstances must align. I made a difficult decision there. It was a difficult one to balance. Turning down an elephant sighting is never easy. But let's go and help Herbie out. Oh, log. And we had a really special sighting, so it's okay. It's all right. I didn't even manage to get to check Triple M, but there's always the risk that whatever leopard killed south of the gate has moved on to Simbambili. Probably Hukumuri. Too many factors. There's a sneaky log on this road, and when I speed along, I hit it every single time because it's hidden in the grass on the side. Apparently some of you are happy that Herbie has pulled us in the direction of Hosana. I hope it is him. Look, I'm not going to complain if it's Tandi or Tlalamba. In fact, I'm not going to do any complaining at all. I get to be out here every day. Bump. Everybody, we're going to wave at the camera trap shortly. The Panthera camera trap. They're going to have so many pictures of us. I waved at every single one of them. There we go. Hello. All right. While we get across to Herbie and those alarm calls, let's send you back across to Patrick and see where he is.
Well, I do actually have to apologise to the elephants as a species. I was asked if they can swim the other day, and I said that they can, but not very well. And, well, I think I didn't give them enough credit there. So, my background is in marine biology, so a lot of the animals I study are made to swim. A crested barbet there. Let's have a look at this bird here. So yeah, so a lot of the animals I study are built to swim, and so I'm used to properly good swimmers. But I mean, for their size, for their build, for the fact that they are mostly on land, elephants are actually quite good swimmers. So sorry, elephants. Sorry for toning you down a bit there. So this crested barbet just was on the middle of the road and now has gone up into the tree and has flown off. It always fascinates me though, bird flight and the adaptation of the wing, that interplay between thrust and lift and gravity and drag. They're the four main factors that come into flight, but just even how the wings have adapted in such small, minute ways that have gone such a long way for the birds as a class. For example, the hooking of the fibres on the feathers, the barbs at the end that allow them to stay sturdy but also can be unhooked to clean, and the slotting at the end of the wings to reduce turbulence. So not in all birds, but especially in a lot of soaring birds, you will see slotting at the tips of the wings. It almost looks like fingers sticking out like that. And what the whole purpose of that is as the wind kind of or the air comes across the wing moving forwards, there's a slight sort of concave underneath the wing. And so if we imagine air going over the top and air going over the bottom, they're obviously covering a different distance because of this dip in the wing. And so that means that they're traveling at different speeds. So when they reach the tip of the wing, that all kind of needs to level out and balance out, and it doesn't. And that is why the wings get a bit of turbulence. So the slotting at the tips of the wings kind of spreads this out a bit, so it isn't all concentrated on that one area. And, well, it helps the soaring birds quite a lot. It's one thing I wish I could do. There's one thing out of all of the animals that we see out here, all of the abilities and cool things that they can do, I think flight for me would definitely be one of the best ones, especially if humans did adapt to fly, if we could do it large distances. Wouldn't that be epic? You know, we wouldn't have to catch aeroplanes anymore. Traveling around would all be just on your own accord. You wouldn't have to rely on anyone. You could just get up and go. Wouldn't that be unreal? So I have, a little update on that python. I couldn't find it anywhere. I wasn't exactly sure where it was, and yeah, couldn't really pick up on it. So I have moved on, and well, now I'm just kind of driving about until something comes up. I don't really have any set plans or directions for the time being. I'm thinking perhaps for the kids' drive, I might go and check the hyena den in due time. It would actually be interesting to see as well. There was, that lion, the male lion I was with earlier, was really not far from the hyena den, and I believe last night Jamie had the lions near the hyena den, and so it would be interesting to see if they have actually relocated dens or not, due to the presence. We do know that hyenas will change their den if they feel the need to, if they feel that the cubs are under threat, or that the den is not suitable, they will relocate. And it would be interesting to see if that actually has happened or not. I just got told I can link to Patrick, so Patrick, let's link to Patrick. Linking to Patrick. Okay, now Patrick, you can link to Jamie. Patrick, linking to Jamie.
Alrighty, I'm not Patrick, I'm Jamie, but that's okay. I've arrived at the alarm calls with Herbie in the Mulwati to my left, and he's asked me to drive very slowly along this road, so we shall begin that mission. Come on, Hosana, please, my boy. Please. I'm too scared you're going to up and leave us again, and I'm not going to get to see you. That would be truly devastating. My eyes are watering from the speed at which we made it our mission to get here. But, well, you know what I'm trying to say. It's terrible English. Terrible English. Sometimes it just comes out all jumbled. I think that applies to all of us, except perhaps the cameramen, who don't have to speak as often. Darby's just gone like this. Directors and presenters alike, guides, naturalists, whatever we are. I don't know what we are. Whenever we are, we mix up our words a lot. Let's go, Hosana. I can't hear any alarm calls now, which means that the Impala can no longer see the leopard that they were alarm calling at. The thing about chasing alarm calls, I was thinking about this a little bit earlier. When you're looking for a leopard, it's always a tricky one, because as soon as something starts alarm calling, yes, it puts you in the vicinity, but at the same time, what that leopard instinctively does is goes flat and hides away. So you're sort of stuck with a double-edged sword. It helps you, but on the other hand, the leopard's gone into hiding. So I actually think that they're harder to spot, they're harder to see when something is alarm calling at them. No, not always. Sometimes they just walk bold as brass and just carry on walking. I can hear Herbie's urgency in his voice. I drove in the Mulwati where they are earlier, so if they found tracks, they might be on top of mine. He might flummox us all and turn out to be on twin dams. Then in that case, it'll have to be the 8% who said Voyatella Dam, because that's the closest. Definitely not in room 11. And definitely not, or maybe feeding his dad. We don't know that yet. All right. Of course, we've got the added pressure of the fact that Bushwalk is going to need to start heading home shortly. We're going to cruise along. While we do that, we'll send you across to Steve, who's going to presumably bid you adieu as it gets darker.
Well, everybody, we heard alarm calls. We had tracks of Hosana that crossed back into the drainage. Remember, you were talking to me before. I was saying how many times they spent in that drainage there, Tlalamba, Tingana. And we walked 10-30 meters, and suddenly Hosana's tracks went back in. We heard alarm calls. We went charging down the Mulwati. Haven't found anything. So we're just doing a bit of a loop around it to see if those tracks we originally had are coming out. So far we haven't had any luck, but we still have moments left before the school drive joins us. And wouldn't that be wonderful to introduce them this afternoon to my good friend Hosana? Our good friend Hosana, the favourite leopard of many of us out there. Am I, Rob? Yes, I know I'm right. I know a lot of you love Tundi, a lot of you love Tingana. There's a huge fan base for Tlalamba these days, but I think all of you love Hosana. Yes? I think so. You like him, don't you, Seb? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Apparently he was trending on Twitter or something last night. He broke the Twitter trending stuff. Hashtag Hosana. Whatever that means. Apparently it's a good thing that a leopard is managed to sort of look after internet. But anyway, we're going to be ending our drive for now, and we're going to be joined by some schools shortly.